pilgrims recognized that they needed to go through the fair. And so they did. But even as they entered the fair, all the people in the fair were moved, and the town itself was in such a hubbub about them, and that for several reasons. First of all, the pilgrims were clothed with such clothes as was different to the clothes that were traded at the fair. The people at the fair made a great thing of looking at them and calling them fools, some saying that they were bedlams and outlandish men. Secondly, they wondered at not just at their clothes, but at their speech. For few could understand what they said. They spoke naturally the language of Canaan, but those that kept the fair were men of this world, so that from one end of the fair to the other, they seemed like barbarians. Thirdly, and this did not amuse the merchandisers, these pilgrims weren't really interested in the wares that were being sold. They didn't even care so much as to look upon them, never mind to buy them. And they put their fingers in their ears and cried, and they ran and ran through the fair, looking upwards, indicating that their trade and their traffic was in heaven. People began to mock them and to say about them, "What will they buy?" And they asked them, "What will you buy?" And the pilgrims said, "We buy truth." Then on another occasion, as they were going through the fair, men started to despise them, mocking and taunting them, and speaking reproachfully against them, and calling others to hit and smite them and strike them. And a great stir was caused in the fair. Now at that moment, someone from the fair came down, grabbed hold of these trusted friends, and dragged them away to question them before the fair was overturned. So the men were brought into an examination room, and they were sat down, and they were asked what they were doing, and where they were going, and why their clothes were so unusual, why their language was so unusual, and why they had no interest in the fair. Well, out on our little walk, as you read Pilgrim's Progress and John Bunyan's description of Pilgrim and Faithful, these young Christians in Vanity Fair, two things become obvious. The first thing that becomes obvious is that they are very different to the people in the fair. Their clothes are different, the things they trust in are different. It's the language of trust. The clothes that were given to Pilgrim and Faithful were given by Jesus Christ at the cross. They are a description of their holy lives, lives trusting God. They're different. Their language is different. The things they speak about is very different. And then what they want and what they like and what they value and where they trade is different. The things that they hold important, very different. And that's the first thing. And the second thing is, what becomes obvious is that Pilgrim and Faithful are not really interested in what is sold at the fair. So it's not just that these two pilgrims are different. These two pilgrims are not really interested in the things that the world are interested in. And this causes great problems. And people start to mock them. They don't understand it. And they start to call them all sorts of horrible names. In fact, for their own protection, in a way, they're arrested and taken away and questioned. That's really a picture of the world in which we live and the Christian. When you become a Christian and put your faith in Jesus Christ, the things that you begin to rely on and trust, the words you speak, the songs you sing, are very different to the songs of the world. But also you start to get into problems because you're not interested in what the world is interested in. And you're called odd and peculiar and weird. Your trade is now not on earth but in heaven. That's just the reality of following Jesus Christ. And your kingdom is now a heavenly kingdom, though you live upon an earthly kingdom. Well, today, I don't know what you're facing, but I suspect you're facing some of these great truths, that the things the world are interested in and love and value are not the things that you do. This is a good sign, a sign that you're walking right with God. Well, from me and my little friend out in the woods, looking for something to dig up and play with. Have a good day. God bless you. May He keep you and watch over you and give you peace. Ready to travel? Let's go.